Anyway, that's Jack Larimer. It's called Tumon Bay, right here on the link, which is brought to you by East West Rental, Calvo Enterprises, ITD, and Jack in the Box. Good morning. 7:39. Let's head into the Zoom room where we've observed all the social distancing protocols to fit in. We have 3 senators and a veteran journalist. Of course, Sabrina Salas-Mantanani, joined here by Republican Senator Telo Taitague, Republican Senator Jim Moylan, and Democrat Senator Sabina Perez. Good morning, Senators.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, UAM family.
Right, today is the day, the big meeting.
Right.
Right on. Hope you guys...
And, just ahead of their meeting, the U.S. Treasury, we just got this, released the guidelines for the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds. It also released the funding totals, which show Guam will be getting $553.5 million, not the $664 million as previously announced by ADLU. The breakdown provides for $450 million for each territory and then additional funds based on population, which brings the total for Guam to $553.5. The governor, as we've been talking about all morning, will be hosting senators this afternoon in a closed-door meeting. Friday, they wrote a letter to the governor providing their spending priority list. All 15 senators, both Democrats and Republicans, signed off on this letter. And some of the notable things that were included was the $200 million to help build a new hospital. And at the very top of their priority list was the $800 Local Rise Act program. So again, we have some of our senators in the Zoom room to talk about this priority list, and I guess also just their reaction to this development about the $553.5 million. Good morning.
Good morning, Sabrina. Well, I'll just jump right in here, knowing that the numbers fluctuate. It's been fluctuating for the last 2 months, from 664 down to 631 to 600. I'm not surprised to see this happening. That it is fluctuating. My concern too is basically the funds that were appropriated to Department of Education. If that's fluctuating at $287 million, that's going to be that's separate and apart, from the ARP funds that are coming in. Of course, the emergency rental assistance at $13.5 million, as well as the 33.6. I'm sorry, that's the emergency rental assistance program is $33.6 million, and the $13.5 for homeowners assistance, and $56.2 million for state small business credit initiatives. Those are important to have, and I'm hoping that these numbers don't fluctuate, that they stay the same. But I'm really not surprised. This afternoon's meeting is going to shed a lot of light on questions that we have as well. The administration, of course, has a direct link with Washington to receive information up front. And quite frankly, this is news. I thank you, KUAM, for always providing information well before I do, before I get it.
We're good Googlers, Senator. We're good Googlers.
Thank you. Yeah. So this is news to me. I'll definitely be reading on it.
Yeah. Well,
that's my take. And again, this is a wish list. So for me, I know that we're going to go in there and move money around or, subtract it, because one of the most important things we have to remember is our debt ceiling, where we are in our debt ceiling. So whatever we're going to do, we have to put that in consideration. And right now we have our debt ceiling for future is only $335 million. That's it for any kind of borrowing that we do. So we really need to be cautious of that.
Yeah. I mean, Senator Tello, you said that this administration has a direct line to the White House. Well, if that's the case, why don't we even know how much money we're receiving?
Well, or how we're supposed to send it, because in our first letter that we provided to the governor, we asked for the guidance on how we can spend this funding, and we haven't gotten it. But it's a Democrat administration in Washington as well as on Guam, so you would think that there's this connection. I hope there is this connection. Give us a little advantage here, but I think we're all going to be. We're all been left in the dark for a while, but I think today it's gonna. It's an opportunity for us to come together on both houses and look at what's in the future for our island and to assist the people of Guam. On the RISE Act that was also appropriated, I think there was another assistance for small businesses at GITA, which was a bill that was passed. Try to remember what that bill was. Anyways, it was to help the small business program with GITA, and it was only appropriated 3 million. I think it was only appropriated 10 million. But in our request, our wish list, we only appropriated 3 million. So the original law said 10. So there are going to be a lot of numbers that's going to be moved around, and you're getting how many people in a room? 17 people. To decide, the governor, lieutenant governor, and 15 senators to try and agree on where the money is going to be spent. It's going to be a challenge in itself. Number one.
Senator Telo, so you said that, at least you guys won't be left in the dark, but people who will be left in the dark, the general public. Senator Sabina, this meeting is going to be closed door. Agree, disagree. Should this be available for public scrutiny, public involvement? Streamed maybe even?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm flexible. I think, this is the people's money. So, these are just proposals, right? And, we want to make sure that, the money that we're putting to is actually prioritizing our people. And I think the proposal that we have currently does that. When I'm looking at the information, so I got a chance to look at the Treasury's list of what we can spend it on. And I'm really glad to see that we're in line what the Treasury is allowing. So, healthcare is one of them, aid to those in need, as well as infrastructure. So as far as the number, the amount that's going, we were proposing based on that $600 million amount. And so when I'm looking at, what are the possible flexibilities where we can change? And, I think labor has always been a big issue as far as construction, right? Construction labor. And that's really what's going to inflate the cost of these infrastructure projects. And, I think, we must meet this problem head on, I think. If there's a way we can, if we can continue funding these infrastructure projects. So by the way, these infrastructure projects that are on the proposal are not what's, for instance, on GWA side, they are not what the court has ordered. These projects are the ones that people have been, seeking relief for, sewer hookups, line replacement to repair the aging lines. What really was court ordered was more of the sewer system as far as the pump stations, the treatment plants, those sort of things, and those need to be addressed. But the other, the lower priority are the ones that are what the people experience more directly. And, for instance, the line replacements, septic tank elimination, sewer hookups, those are the things that this proposal does. And if we can be more efficient through the procurement process to get all these things done as much as possible, and also come under what's being granted to Guam, I think that's something that would require more discussion. And the fact is too, a lot of this infrastructure upgrades too would go towards the agricultural development, which is what is one of the priorities of the administration. So all of this is going to create more of a long-term fix for things that have been, I guess, I don't know if the word's neglected, but hasn't been addressed because of the lack of funds. And so now this is the opportunity to really address these things, including, the hospital, for instance. We don't have enough money under the debt ceiling to rebuild the hospital, and I think this is something that can be achieved using this fund.
Senator Moylan, what do you anticipate some of the points of contention may be in this meeting as you guys have sent over your list? Is there anything on your priority list that you can see right off the bat, maybe the governor not wholeheartedly agreeing with?
Oh, absolutely, Chris. Going further, I think this meeting should be an open door meeting. There's one thing in that ethics class that we all took. Our instructor gave us the point of view that, I think it was Attorney Camacho, the best way you can tell how ethical you are is if you can get in front of the media and answer the questions. So when you have a closed door meeting, you're not allowing the people to hear what's going on, the personalities being displayed and the questions being asked and challenged. I think like how this meeting is going to go is like what we saw already. I don't see the governor maybe listening a little bit, but basically the governor has told us she can use the money any way she pleases. And that's kind of why I think the RISE Act wasn't paid off initially, and which I've been pushing for since March and asking the governor to pay for that. In fact, we even put some recommendations to increase the RISE Act from 800 to 1,000 to 1,600 to 2,000. I think we're still fortunate to get the 553 million, if that's the new number out there. How we prioritize the spending, I believe should go into the hands of the people. We know from our reports, you know, the CRER report, the top things that the government gains as income to generate our general fund are the BBT, which is business privilege tax, corporate tax, withholding tax, and individual tax. How do you make that happen? Well, we have 500 now, I guess 553 million coming on in. How do you make that happen then if you're going to get our income up for the general fund? If we want America to get moving again, if we want Guam to let's get moving again, then you put that money into the hands of the people. That's where my point of view would come across to the governor. And I know we had some disagreements, but I've been fortunate enough to have a couple of one-on-one meetings with the governor and the lieutenant governor and their policy advisor to stress how important it is to get more money into the hands of the people. Infrastructure, fine. Hospital, fine. But all those things we failed at as a government providing the services for generations. Yeah, now we're going to put more money into it to hopefully fix it. Well, we're probably going to run it down to the ground again. But unless you have a general fund that is healthy by supported with small businesses, then eventually you can generate the income necessary to maintain the maintenance of these programs. Right now, you pump money into it, you fix it up, it's going to collapse. How long does our new buildings stand and look shiny? Unless you got some public-private partnerships that maintain it for 20 some years. That's how I think a new hospital should be built, with a public-private partnership, not be run with the same system we've been running with for years upon years, to include the management of the hospital. So our doctors and our nurses can do their duties. And that's what they should be focused on. I support putting more money into the hands of the people, increasing the general funds by supporting small businesses and by allowing these businesses to hire more employees, because we know by September, PUA ends, and what are we going to do then? So I'm looking forward to the discussion. I'll take some notes. If you want to talk to me afterwards, I'll let you know how it goes.
Well, just hearing the news about this potential $110 million cut from the initial number we got at 664 million. What on the spending priority list are you guys looking to, or would possibly cut from it?
Well,
if you had to
I'll take a stab at it. Well, I'm pretty sure she's going to tell us, because the governor has full authority to utilize first the funding that's coming in, not the legislature. Yes. However, other states have been challenging the governor's perspective, and states have been actually coming together and working together to with the governor and the legislature on appropriating these funds. And I think that's what the governor's initiative was, especially when we had bills coming forward. I introduced a bill, Bill 124, that basically requires the governor to do a budget realignment, not just currently on law. It says in realignment, if the funds are lower, if the revenue is coming in 3% lower, then the governor needs to come back with a budget realignment. And the bill that I introduced was, well, how about if it goes up? If we receive 3% higher in revenue coming in, whether it's federal government, federal funds, or just local government, which, you know, would be amazing. But she would have to come back to the table and do a realignment plan. I think Senator St. Augustine's bill too, as well, you know, kind of push that envelope for the governor to finally come to the table and sit down and speak with us. I've always been an advocate for the roads. Our roads are getting worse. I'd like to see that the roads stay in, but as far as funding for the people of Guam, of course, the bill 35-94 that was introduced to help small businesses, that, like I said earlier, and actually that would raise it to 10 million. So I think that funding first shall be prioritized to the people of Guam, the people who really need it, those who've been out of work for over a year, those who are having issues with the rental, that I think is priority. And then we can start working down from there. And then, but I think if we were to try, Guam Visitors Bureau right now is taking a big chunk at 38 million. We all know that this is not going to be happening on Guam, bringing our tourists in real quick, unless our other Asian countries that come to visit our island also get vaccinated and start lifting their restrictions and quarantine, because that's not going to happen. I think we can lower some of the funding there. I know it's it's not very popular for me to say, but I think we need to get our people on their foot back to, you know, being able to sustain themselves.
Senator Sabina.
So I have to hit into GVB right now, looking at everything else.
Yeah, so when you look at what was the proposal, what the legislature's proposal was, the largest share is the infrastructure. And so, you know, I probably wouldn't touch the aid and the healthcare. It might have to come out of the infrastructure part of it. And unfortunately, you know, the idea behind that was to help prevent any increases in rates. So that's the part that may have to be reduced, unless we can get, you know, the cost of construction. I know this is a grand wish, but the cost of construction down to the point where we can maybe accomplish a lot of these items on the infrastructure portion. Of course, the hospital, there's different ways of financing the hospital, whether putting a whole chunk of money out there. I know, you know, the model that we have right now for these large capital improvement projects are, you know, the lease back program, where we don't have to put in all of the funding up front. So that's maybe one of the avenues for financing that might work. In regards to, yeah, I think the governor is very supportive of the RISE Act, and I see her, implementing that. You know, I think in regards to also education, I think it's important that, you know, we continue to hold that amount because, you know, with the diversification of education comes a diversification of our economy, is what's needed. I think, you know, I guess the idea is that if we can grow what we need within our school system, we could potentially maybe reduce a lot of these costs. You know, a lot of this funding would go towards private companies too, the ones that are involved in construction, technology upgrades. These are things the government doesn't have expertise in and has to outsource. So, you know, this money is going to come into the coffers of private sector, which in turn can support the government sector as well. So yeah, I see this as the proposal is going towards economic recovery as well, if you look at it that way.
Senator Moylan, we just got about a minute here.
Oh, sure. I'm going to stick with the Let's Get Guam Moving initiatives. I think the CRER report tells us every quarter where we're at, how much money we need to sustain the government, where we are in our budget, and where we are in the money coming on in. To get that at a good level and how to follow with the American Recovery Plan is to build your economy. How do you do that? Well, the CRER report tells you that with the BBT tax, with the corporate tax, with withholding tax and individual tax. You put the money into the hand of the people. $500 credit card program, I recommended that. Pari Povleku, that's the plan for that. Help customers pay for their utilities, help customers pay for their rent. Business startup ideas also, not just existing businesses, but new businesses as well. And increase the amount of money in the RISE Act. These initiatives come out to $107.5 million. Out of 553, there's enough money left over for the governor to figure out what else she'd like to do. Infrastructure, fine. But highway funds have been rated for how long? You know, and so what's going to happen next? We can't maintain our roads once you fix it, and we go dig it up afterwards looking for our gloves because we forgot to include something. I just don't get it. You know, but if you have a general fund that is strong and healthy by the support of small businesses and by helping the small businesses, then we can maintain this pandemic and we can maintain the following pandemic.
All right. Okay.
Looking forward to our meeting with the governor, and I'll give you guys some notes on that.
Thank you, Senators.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Break a leg.
You know, there's one other thing.
I got to run, man, Senator. If you guys want to hold through the break, just hold on because doesn't seem like we're done here. We're going to take just a really quick break and come back with more of the link on KUAM TV next. Good morning.
We got your 6
at 6 a.m. with the link on Breeze 93.9 FM. Bree and I connect you with all the latest news and information you need to know to start your day.
Then check back with Guam's news leader at 6 p.m. for the day's top headlines with KUAM News Primetime.
From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and everything else in between with KUAM Digital, we got your 6. Good morning, Guam. Right on. Tuesday, May 11th. My name's Chris. That's Jason.
Good morning.
Sabrina Salas-Manzanati in the KUAM News Zoom room. It's 8 o'clock. Good morning, KUAM TV. And welcome to the Tuesday, May 11th, 2021 episode of The Link. It's proudly brought to you by East West Rental, Calvo Enterprises, IT&E, and our friends at Jack in the Box. Coming up, we're going to do news with Jason Salas from the KUAM News team. And also we'll catch up with the new public information officer for the Guam Memorial Hospital, Sergeant Paul Tapao, Guam Police, and then Project Tulaika with Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center as part of Mental Health Awareness Month. All of that is coming up right now, though. We continue the conversation with Republicans, Senators Telo Taitague and Jim Moylan, and Democrat Senator Sabina Perez. We're talking about this closed-door meeting, and I believe the senators here have all said they wouldn't mind if it was open door. But this closed-door meeting with the governor happening, I believe, 2 or 2:30, where they're going to be discussing with the governor and probably the lieutenant governor their priority list for the, what are we saying, Bree? Is it 550 million-ish? 600 million-ish?
According to the U.S., 600 million-ish, I would say, because we did get a comment and clarification from Mr. Byrne from the Department of Administration, Crystal Palca San Augustine. She spoke with him and then forwarded that the dollar amount you're seeing is only the state allocation, adding the county and non-entitlement elements are estimated to add up to 604 million. Treasury is anticipated to issue a clarification on non-entitlement units. Also, this figure does not include the Capital Projects Fund, which is to be released later. Again, we continue to work through this as the interim final rule is 151 pages long. That is the statement from DOA Director Edward Byrne.
All right, so hopefully they're enlisting their speed readers.
There you go.
How long does it take you to read 150 pages?
A while.
Yeah.
I could probably speed read through it, but I wouldn't understand any of it. Just, reading through it.
Right.
Difference between reading and comprehending.
So, I mean, it kind of seems like the amount of money we're getting is still a moving target. That being said, how much actual fleshing out and agreeing or disagreeing with you guys' list and what the governor wants to do, how much of that do you actually think is going to happen in this meeting today?
Well, you brought up Chris earlier and Sabrina asking us if, because the money is so substantially lower than what we anticipated or what we submitted to the governor's office, and where we're going to find these cuts that we provided for, because it's going to be under scrutiny. I mean, everything that we put forward from the Attorney General's office to OTEC, these numbers are just, a wish list. Of course, things can, lower. We may, cut, 3 million here, 4 million here. But one of the things that we also need to anticipate, and I'll let Senator Perez elaborate on that, is the ordered closure and post-closure that we put $27 million toward, and still anticipating the outcome of the court case. And I'll allow Senator Sabina, because she's very well versed on this when it regards to environment and what's happening at the dump, and the anticipation of the findings from the court.
Yeah, so my understanding with Guam Solid Waste Authority is that we're still in partial receivership, at least the post-closure of ORDOT dump. And that's really awaiting US EPA signing off on their post-closure plan. So when the receivership, ended, the partial ending of the receivership, Guam Solid Waste had to absorb a lot of the contracts to get out of that, at least partial receivership. So included in that are the contractors that are involved in the closure of the ORDOT dump. And so there wasn't a lot of room to negotiate. And so they're stuck with the cost of these contracts. I think any funding that can go towards, again, these infrastructure would help relieve or delay any kind of increases to the ratepayers. As you know, there's a Supreme Court case. Hopefully they rule in our favor that there wasn't any statute of limitations, which they can proceed to go on to recoup some of the cost for cleanup of the ORDOT dump. But that hasn't happened yet. So I think that was the intent behind proposing that amount. That was, I believe, in collaboration with Guam Solid Waste Authority.
How does this though tie into COVID? Because I'm just looking at it right now, this guidance, and it says that ineligible uses, including funding debt service, legal settlements or judgments, and deposits to rainy day funds or financial services. So, I mean, the ORDOT dump consent decree has been going on for years.
Yeah, I haven't really looked closely at the guidance, but if they're allowing for infrastructure support, then that I believe
might
qualify. Right.
What about with the
substantially will cover most of the costs that we anticipate as well on our end, on the government side. So that's coming up very shortly. So we can be keeping our prayers, lighting our candles for that one. To hope that we're on the last leg for that.
Yep, finger your rosary.
This is going to be the first meeting, right, for all of the senators to meet with the governor face to face in over a year, right? Over a year.
March 16th, 2020, exactly. I remember the days before COVID shut down. That was the last meeting.
I think that was a closed door meeting as well.
Right. Yeah. I noticed the governor
How long do you
doesn't.
think this meeting is going to go?
Well, at least I would say at least a couple hours, I hope. I mean, because the longer we're in there, at least we know we're working together and trying to get this through. I mean, if this meeting ends within 30 minutes or, less than an hour, then I don't think we've come to any kind of, understanding. But the longer we're in there, I think the better it is for us.
Are you guys hoping to walk away from this meeting with an actual, plan that both of you can agree to?
I think I'm pretty hopeful about that. And I think the fact that she's inviting all 15 senators is a good sign, considering last term, there wasn't much, transparency on or at least inviting the senators to help develop a plan.
With the CARES Act.
And I think this is a good step forward. So I think I'm very hopeful that we can come to an agreement.
It's a commitment, I'm looking forward to her committing to working together. If we don't finalize everything today, that we can continue on. That's really important. That commitment from the governor.
Well, I guess we're counting on you guys to tell us what happened in the meeting since it's closed door.
Absolutely. Never been one to hold back. You guys know me. I'm not writing letters. I'm on the air with KUAM telling the people the way it is, straight to the point.
All right.
Yeah. Stand outside there. Get your cameras ready. I'm sure we'll be anxious to tell everything that the governor wants us to hear.
I mean, I wonder though, like, are you guys curious about like the format, how is it going to be moderated? I mean, would this have been something that we could have seen at the legislature in the form of maybe like an informational hearing? Something a little more, open to the public. I'm just wondering, thinking out loud.
Yeah, I think that what we see at Adelup, we're going to see that again today. It's going to be nothing different other than we're all invited for a closed door meeting. But the presentation, we've seen it before. The instructions and where our input is, we've seen it before. What's the difference going to be is, well, we just got more federal money and we'll probably be told how it's going to be spent. Yeah, we have our input. That's fine. And I'm pushing for the governor to take some of these Let's Get Guam Moving initiatives and just do it in executive order. Just write it out, get it done. And I understand they're looking at that, and I'm happy for that. But get the money into the hands of the people quicker. Yeah, we can do these nice meetings. We can sit down and pretend to all hold hands and kumbaya, and that's wonderful. But at the end of the day, the governor has told us since the beginning, I have complete authority over the federal money based on the Organic Act. Yeah, I'd love to hear from you folks, but let me tell you how it's going to be done. And that's the job of the governor. And if the people so like that, well, vote her in again. If you don't, then it's up to you of what you decide to do. but really, we really got to get going. And if this 553 comes in tomorrow, I want to see it to get into the hands of the people as soon as possible. Let's just not wait. How is it that you're concerned about if it's the right thing to do? Is it the right thing to do to pay out the RISE money? Come on, that's already lapsed into law. You got the Attorney General's opinion. You got I don't what else do you need, right? It's good enough. It's fine. Pay it out, and in fact, increase it. Get more money into the business folks' hands. They're the ones that's going to generate the BBT, the income tax, the corporate tax, withholding tax that makes our government function. And we got a once in a lifetime. I don't know if we're going to get the fourth stimulus. I really, unless you want China to own the U.S., why would we do that? But now we have the opportunity with 553 to make the difference, to build our island strong. So the next pandemic, we're in a better position. Right. I'm looking forward to the meeting. Right. I can tell you that.
So when we talk about the infrastructure, right, there was a part in there where you guys want to use, I forget the exact dollar amount, but it would be used to do improvements to Guam Waterworks so that the ratepayers wouldn't have to bear the brunt of a 10% increase every year for the next 3 years. So it's basically a 30% increase in the cost of our water, right? So how hard are you guys going to go on just like that one thing? Because that potentially, I think it's noble. It's a noble effort to try and keep us from, I mean, you do the math, guys. $100 water bill is going to go up to $130, right? So is this going to be, and are there any of these lists that you guys are just very firm and, will yell about?
Well, any increase into the cost of utilities, of course, is very alarming for anybody. I mean, it's difficult enough already, but the $52 million that we set aside for waterworks to give that little delay or hope to keep our rates lower is very important. That's one thing I don't think I want to budge at when it comes to utilities. So yeah, that'll stay. And just to let you know, Sabrina, you mentioned in May 7th, when we received a letter from the governor, it was only on May 7th, the number was 619 million. We've gone from 664 to, but as of May 7th, it's obvious when she sent her letter to us, it was 619 million for federal aid package. So I wouldn't be surprised they've got that message just over the last 3 days too as well. That's news to us, but we're definitely going to have to lower somewhere here, and But when it comes to utilities, any way we can assist the public, I think I would maintain that 52 million for waterworks.
I just like to say, I'm sorry that on the waterworks, the water rates going up. It's because the commercial rates, the money collected by the commercial businesses are the biggest ratepayers. Pacific Islands Hotel with all these their pool facilities and their water park facilities. When you close down and the tourists aren't there, that's a great loss of revenue. It's probably 60% of the rates coming in for our utilities, power and water. The 52 million will be very helpful, but at the end, you need the private businesses, just like for the garbage collection too. It's 60% is commercial revenue, 40% is individual revenue. Of course, you're going to have to increase individual revenue unless you get the corporations back on their feet. And that's why this is the important part now, to put this money back into businesses to get them going, so we can help subsidize so the people of Guam, the individuals, don't have to pay so much for utilities and trash payment. But right now we're seeing that effect because the companies have closed. We don't have the diversified economy to help subsidize that. So once we get the businesses back going, then we can survive. 52 million will be very helpful, but in the long run, businesses need to get going once again. Thanks.
And I think what's also important is that, a lot of GWA is losing about 50% of its water that it's pumping to leaks in the line. And so whatever money that we're giving to GWA should be focused on, a big portion of that should be focused on replacing these leaking lines. And that would help reduce the cost of operations. So we look at it from that perspective, because it takes a lot of energy to pump water. And by fixing those lines, we're reducing the energy cost, as well as, protecting the aquifer from over pumping. So, I think we have to take a closer look at how the monies are going to be utilized and how efficiently they're going to be utilized when we're looking at infrastructure upgrades. And that would save the people money too as well.
Right. Yeah, very true.
Okay. One thing I didn't see in here was the proposal from Senator Frank Boss Jr. It's something that he had been pitching on providing some sort of a relief for PPE. Was that something that was brought up at all? The personal protective equipment?
I think Sabrina, with PPEs or anything else that was not placed in here, I'm sure the other senators are going to bring it up. I have a couple of legislative bills too. It's important that whatever bills that we do introduce into the legislature, it does have a funding source. And this is not just a hoopla bill, make everyone look like you're the hero or what, or it should be a bill that provides funding for it. So I'm pretty sure that some of the bills, unfortunately, have been introduced with no funding source. So if it stands within the guidelines of this funding from the federal government, I'm pretty sure that they're going to be advocating for that, Sabrina, when we go into the meeting. I'm sorry, Senator Sabina, you were going to say something? I'm sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
I interrupted you. My apologies. But there is a portion for the Small Business Pandemic Assistance Program that could potentially fit under there, to purchase any kind of protective gear. So I was just looking, maybe that could be covered through that.
What's interesting also with these, how we're able to at least access, and what we did before with the RISE Act was that we just prioritized the federal funding with the incoming American Rescue Plan, and back then it was the CARES Act, for major funding for the RISE Act, and then with the general fund thereafter. So that's how, it was interestingly played out in the 35th, and many of these measures that have been introduced in the 36th also follow the same formula of the current laws that of the law that was made in place with the RISE Act. So you can, like Senator Frank Boss, can probably get some money out of the American Rescue Plan to just generate, just by dictating it coming from the American Recovery Plan, as we did successfully before with the RISE Act coming out of the CARES funding too. And as many of these Let's Get Guam Moving initiatives have utilized payment as well. But at the end of the day, like the governor said, it's all up to her.
Oh, there you go. Guys, good luck at the meeting. I feel like the more you say, the the worse you're going to make it for yourselves this afternoon.
Well, at least they know what we're asking for, so maybe they can start thinking, okay, well, we know Senator doesn't want the roads to be taken away. We know the water infrastructure have to stay. Well, hopefully they know that. So when they get in there, they'll compromise at least for us. But, all these initiatives, I think it's true to form that we want to make sure that it goes into the people's hands, Guam funding to system for rental, especially. To help our people is most important, and former Senator Regine Bisco-Lee, who introduced the RISE Act, I think her good intentions and for us to advocate for what a bill that she had introduced is important that, we move forward with that. And oh my goodness, fingers crossed, everybody light a candle,
Yeah.
Light your candles now.
Go light a candle at St. Jude.
Yes.
That's my mom.
You guys might want to bring like snacks and stuff like that if you plan on being in there for the long haul.
Jamora chip cookies.
We are.
All right.
Get comfortable.
Thank you, Senator Moylan, Senator Taitague, Senator Sabina. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Keep
Good
us
luck.
posted.
Good luck.
We'll be out. We'll be there
Yeah.
this afternoon.
I'll actually be there. So I think we're going to do a Facebook live thing. So if you guys are there and you're coming out, just jump on and we'll get your reaction.
Yeah,
My guess.
I'll be making some bathroom breaks in between. So
Yeah, you come
Okay.
out and report to me. They're going to be, what's up with Senator Taitague's bladder? No, she's reporting to Chris.
My guess is we'll be out of there before an hour.
I think so.
I got an hour.
Oh,
Anybody
man.
else want to rage at that?
Yep. Is there a pool? Is there, you guys taking baths?
Yeah,
What are
do
the
a pool.
odds? What do you think, Senator
Time-
Sabina?
I think the
How
governor
long?
wants to work with us. She wouldn't have called us to the table. She did
Yeah.
not want to work with us. And like you said, she does have the authority, like all governors have authority to spend this money, but bringing us to the table is the beginning. So let's all hope that we can work together
So
and stay longer
optimistic.
than an hour.
Wow.
Okay.
What do you think, Senator Sabina? 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours?
No, I think it's going to be definitely the start of a discussion, a dialogue.
Okay.
I do have, I feel that she's genuine
Genuine.
in reaching out to the public, through the legislature.
Right on.
To make sure things are-
Did your spending plan include funding for a new FMS?
It does include. So I think that's critical. Actually, that's a critical need. If you want to streamline government, and get things moving, right? It's a big thorn in the side of a lot of our developers here about getting stuck in permitting. So, and
Well,
I
we
believe
have
that's one of her initiatives.
We have a permitting czar to take care of that.
That's
Hopefully
true.
later.
Yeah.
It is one of their top initiatives, and I think this money can definitely help towards that.
Why do you guys laugh when I say permitting czar?
Sabina, have you heard anything new on the RFQ for the new financial management system?
I have only from the vice speaker. So the latest was the vice speaker's press release, so it is. So it looks like an RFP.
RFP.
Versus-
Okay.
Yeah. So that's going to be handled through, I believe, Department of Administration. They are working. Judging from what I read from that press release, it's AG's is weighing in on it, obviously, because it's probably over $500,000. $500,000, obviously. And the panel has to come from the agency. So I need to follow up and see if these members are actually certified by law to partake in procurement. But I imagine this American Rescue Plan might delay that because they might have to take in the larger interest of the government in regards to other agencies. And I do hope that the efforts are consolidated.
Yeah.
With Bureau of Statistics and Plans, they have a harmonization study coming up for all of Guam, and I hope we're not rushing into any kind of a procurement and they're actually looking through traditional procurement rather than emergency procurement.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because we're in an emergency, and then part of the argument that they have for declaring this emergency so that we can get a new financial management system was they said that it's because of all these reporting requirements for this federal money that's coming in. But I'm just thinking, like, how problematic is it to switch our financial management system in the middle of all of this? It just doesn't seem, it seems like ripe for all kinds of wrong.
Especially technology. That
Right.
is, that's when you really need experts on. I don't think we have the experts within the government to really kind of define them. I could be wrong though, of course, but that's something we really have to tread carefully.
Right.
We appropriated based on our wish list, $5 million to OTEC. So I think they putting it in. And before you guys go, because I know you're going to throw us off, I have to send a shout out to the nurses at Guam Surgery Center yesterday when I went in for a procedure. They listened to KUAM all the time, to Cheryl and Therese out at Guam Surgery. They just love KUAM. And I said, okay, next time I get on, I'll do a shout out for them. So yeah, just to let you know, the nurses are listening to you, KUAM down.
Thank you. Anybody who loves
Hi, Guam Surgery
KUAM,
Center.
if you love KUAM, you go to the front of the line. Thank you, nurses. Thank you for your service. Okay, now we're going to go for real, for real. Good luck. See you down there.
All right, talk to you this afternoon.
All right, it's 8:25. Really quick break.